I wanted to touch on something, which is, we've always done things by the book. So we've always had really, really strong legal counsel from all the way when we started the company from the US in 2021. And why do I say that? Because the Howey test and being a security token, a utility token is something quite important from a regulatory perspective. And revenue to distribution, if we looked at, pre-Trump administration, you'd be labeled a security token. This has recently changed, and this is a major shift which enables our token economy to be feasible from a, not just a technical perspective, but regulatory perspective. So as we scaled our existing revenues and get into cash flow positive, and we keep implementing new and new revenue lines, this makes our ecosystem possible. But something I wanted to clarify is that there's essentially two ways around it, or two verticals, right? If you're an active participant in the ecosystem, that means you're a user that adds value. Then you have a token gated staking mechanism in which you can then deposit your tokens and you get part of the revenue distribution. If you are a passive investor into the token because you're not looking for a job, you're not networking, let's say that, it's just, the professional networking use case is not for you. However, we will be building use cases for you in the future, but you're not an active participant. Let's say you're a VC investor, right? And you have some tokens, but you're not. Then the buy and burn mechanism is what enables you to have value appreciation into the token. So whether you're passive or active, you get it. But in order for you to get the revenue redistribution, you need to be an active participant. This is how we get around, being a security token because it's a utility token and you're not getting revenues or from the efforts of others. You're getting revenues from the efforts of yourself. Now, let me make a caveat here. We have a US legal opinion that we are a utility token. However, as we plan over the next year to be listing in US exchanges. We're now listed in Europe, for example, on Kraken. We're MiCA compliant. Again, we do everything by the book. But as we go and venture into the US, the last word will be with the SEC. And ultimately, maybe that means that in certain territories, it has to be geofence and the token economy will have to have some differences depending on the region to apply to the regulatory environments of those countries. That's just where I wanted to touch on. But what's really exciting is that regulation is here. We love regulation because the guardrails is what enables us to really have novel business models. And one thing to be clear on here is Microsoft and LinkedIn cannot redistribute their advertising revenue with their users. That is the big paradigm shift here. That's what's revolutionary about what we're building here. You're not just a user. We're not just going to monetize your data. Your data is not the product. You are actually a stakeholder through the token into the success of the network. That's the game changer. That's the true promise of Web3. Read, write, own, the next iteration of the web.